I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
Here we go, car starts up, we go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
The madness of week 1 has completed, and we have taken the SAVE22 Truck Series drivers to a place they've never been before. Auto Club Speedway. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you've all had a fantastic week, and we hope that you're just as excited as we are to venture into a new venue for the series. I'm your host, Logan Threlkeld. Of course, beside me, we have Daniel Cunningham, with Alex Gagnon running the production truck this week with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daniel, since it is our first visit to this once legendary track, can you tell the folks at home a little bit about Auto Club?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks on all of iRacing. It was one of my favorites in real life as well. It's a shame that the bulldozer got the better of it. As you can see there, Fontana, California, 2-mile D-shaped oval. It's got that 14 degrees of banking in the turns. It's got that 11 degrees down the front straightaway. This track has a ton of character. It's really bumpy. The surface is really abrasive. And I'll be honest, Logan, I don't know how we waited this long to bring these trucks to Auto Club. This just seems like a perfect combination of track and vehicle. The track is wide enough to run 5 wide if you really felt so inclined. This is going to be a good one here tonight.
And it gets us away from the madness of just pure speed, where we can focus on the driver's abilities this week. And it's going to bring a whole new kind of aspect to the ball game here, where we start to separate who has the talent level that is required to take home the championship at the end of the season versus who can just be fast at certain tracks, you know? So we're really looking forward to bringing all the action to you right here live on V-Speed. Of course, race analysis coming up on your screen now. We've got 70 laps on the board for tonight's event, 55 miles an hour down pit road, which is a difficult pit road to enter when you're coming off of turn 4 with speed. So look out for those green flag stops tonight. 4 tire sets available. Of course, the first set on the truck already. 3 over the wall for us. 2 green-white checkered attempts naturally with 100% fuel and the iRacing fixed setup. And, you know, you mentioned it, Auto Club. I found that on the service, it is very much a either loved or very hated track, Daniel, and it's really just brings a whole new light to the sim racing service for us.
Yeah, it really is. It kind of puts you in the mind of like a Darlington. A lot of drivers either love it or hate it. Another one that I'm in the love category. So I know there's a few drivers that were excited about it, talking about it earlier in the Discord chats, and I'm sure they're ready to get this race underway.
Speaking of getting ready to go, I think our grid is set. The qualifying session has ended. Let's take a look at who took home our Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award for race number 2 of the season. And it's going to be none other than the 07, the Jam Printing and Promotions truck himself, Patrick Drabick, here tonight. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed to printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They've been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. Local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. And starting to the outside of the Jam Printing and Promotions truck, the 04 of Wesley Burke takes up P2 to start this race. In row number 2, the 58 of Jonathan Cofield lines up next to the 20 of Jason Kristen. In row number 3, the 51 of Levi McCarty next to the 25 of James Kaufman. Behind them, it's the 15 of Jamie Barkas next to the 67 of Mauricio Marquez Ramos. And last but not least, inside the top 10, it's the 87 of Eddie Smith starting out in 9th next to the 36 of George Jewell.
Rolling off in the 11th position is going to be Samuel Joseph with Mark Whitley in 12th. Last week's winner, Michael Kostick, in 13th. The 14 of Chance Taylor will start in P14 here this evening. Charles Abert and Tyler Justice make up row number 8 in 15th and 16th. Ken Huber starts 17th with Brandon Wallace to his outside in 18th. Rounding out the top 20 is going to be Cody Anderson and Daniel Parks in row number 10.
In 21st, it is the 27 of Jacob Ellingsing rolling off next to the 64 of Matt Knights. Behind them, the 31 of Zachary Minnis next to the 98 of Thaddeus Friel. The 85 of James Goshen takes up the 25th starting spot next to the 12 of Claire Sisk Jr. And then the final row of the event today, the 02 of Michael Jones in 27th next to the 62 of Douglas Macedo. Now, we do have a few penalties that will get placed here before the start of this race. So mind that there will be some shaking up of the running order here. The drivers receiving EOLs to start today's events will be James Goshen, Mark Whitley, Michael Seymour, Thaddeus Friel Jr., and Doug Macedo. Get all of that lined out here. It looks like most of it has been lined out. We're actually ready to go ahead and start this race. I lost my spot on the track, and away we go for lap number 1 at Auto Club here tonight. And it's a drag race down the front stretch. The 07 of Drabick on the outside, the 04 of Wesley Burke to the inside. Let's see who's going to lead lap number 1. Here's a wiggle coming from the 07 already. Burke gets clear and moves up to the high side. The back end comes out. Still trying to catch it. Finally gathers it up coming down the backstretch.
And our pole sitter, Patrick Drabick, electing to start on the outside on the initial start. The leader does get lane choice here in this series. But that advantage, or actually didn't turn out to be an advantage. Wesley Burke in the 04 is already out to a huge lead. It's Patrick Drabick now under fire from Jonathan Cofield for the number 2 position. And he's got Levi McCarty right there in his hip pocket as well. McCarty choosing to draft with the 58 of Cofield. As they head down the front straightaway, though, you can see exactly what we were talking about with the width of this track. Just how many different options you have, the different lanes you have, just how bumpy the surface is, really making this a driver's racetrack.
Multiple spots of 3 wide here up in the top 15 drivers. The 51 was stuck in the middle there for a moment. Levi McCarty has since gotten his way back up towards the outside here of the 58 of Jonathan Cofield. If you take a look there, I believe on the 51 of McCarty, that looks like a classic Gravedigger paint scheme with a little bit of a modification. That's a very unique one to see out here in the field today. Yeah, running P3 right now just behind the 07. Again, the 58 of Cofield will take a look to the inside down through turns 1 and 2, coming out side by side to the backstretch. The 04 Burke is going to drop it down off the wall. Not sure if that was trying to break the draft this early on, what the case might be there for Wesley Burke, but still leading this race after the drop of the green flag, doing everything that he can to hold on to this race lead for now.
And already you can see that top lane starting to become the dominant choice here as Patrick Drabick utilizing that upper groove to carry some momentum. He's going to be able to get to the lead here around the 0-4 of Wesley Burke. And I believe you were 100% correct there, Logan. I think Wesley Burke was already trying to break that draft a little bit. The one thing with these trucks here at Auto Club, even though it's not going to be a super speedway type of race like what we saw last week at Daytona, the trucks don't have a ton of horsepower. They punch a pretty big hole in the air as well. It's going to give these drivers an opportunity to really utilize the draft and try to keep things bunched up a little bit. So side drafting is something you'll see, that top groove carrying momentum, something else that you'll see here throughout the evening. Even right now, a lot of drivers lined up to the outside of that 58 of Jonathan Cofield trying to take advantage, as Levi McCarty now also trying to take advantage of that top groove and make a pass for the lead.
I don't know if you noticed it there, Daniel, but a little bit of counter steer already for the 0-4 of Wesley Burke as he worked his way down through 3 and 4. And expect to see a lot more counter steer as this race progresses. The rear tires wearing out more and more. That is one thing about Auto Club. It is very unforgiving on those tires. You have to drive this truck just right if you want to try to save it for as long as possible. As the 51 of Levi McCarty has a fantastic run down through turn 3. He's going to get the nose just ahead of Patrick Drabick and now fully clear of the 07 as they come across the line.
Well, that was a tight maneuver there between the two drivers. Drabick not willing to go quietly, trying to fight his way back to the lead, get that clean air, trying to utilize every inch of the racetrack as they're looking 3, possibly 4 wide back behind. The look was there momentarily. I don't know if they ever got 4 wide, but that was George Jewell right in the middle of all of that. It's got Jason Kristen. You can see Eddie Smith there. Tyler Justice, new look for him in the 33 here tonight. And these drivers, again, just utilizing every part of this racetrack. But again, what they love about it, just you can run so many different lanes, just a lot of different options for what you can do. As the field gets around Doug Macedo in the 62, a lap truck. He did also have a stop and hold penalty at the beginning of this one as well, in addition to that EOL. So currently the only truck off the lead lap. He'll be looking for a caution to try to get back in this.
Just a moment there of 3 wide here with the 71 and the 14. That's Daniel Parks up on the outside, the 14 to Chance Taylor on the inside. Expect to see these moves start to come to fruition a little bit more often here, as this is about the time where you're going to see that tire degradation. Goodness me, I cannot speak tonight. But expect to see those moves get made more, as these drivers will have to modify their driving line if they want to find the speed, if they want to find that clean air. All factors in that are just as important as one another. Patrick Drabick now stuck on the outside with the 58 of Jonathan Cofield, taking a look to the inside, side by side behind them, between Burke and now Barkas up in the top 5.
Yeah, Jamie Barkas making up a little bit of ground here as well. As, oh, there's contact in the back. It's the 14 of Chance Taylor, 27 of Jake Ellingson. Both drivers are able to hang on to it. And I'll be honest, I don't know how they did. That 14 truck looked like it was absolutely sideways there for a moment. Both drivers continue on. The caution is now out for a separate incident. The 87 of Eddie Smith is around. The 33 of Tyler Justice also involved. Yellow flag here for a secondary incident after the original one. And that is going to give us a chance to re-rack everything here at Auto Club. So I have to go back and take a look at exactly what happened to these trucks on the V-Speed instant replay. And just a lot of trucks were right there under a blanket together. 87 of Eddie Smith here on the bottom. Oh, that actually starts up at the top, and Eddie Smith pounds the back of the 36 truck on the corner exit of turn 4. Not a lot he could do there, just a big checkup in front of him.
That was the 67 of Mauricio Marquez Ramos on the outside in that Dubby truck. Contact from the inside with George Jewell just driving up the track, but slowed everything down. Not enough time for Eddie Smith to react. That collects the 33 of Tyler Justice. I took another look back at the incident on the backstretch between the 27 of Ellingson and the 14 of Chance Taylor as well, and it seemed to be nearly the same thing. Just these trucks are starting to already push up the track on corner exit. Luckily, like you mentioned, Daniel, they both were able to collect it back up and no damage really done to either one of those trucks. And goodness, it looks like the 33 of Justice kind of experiencing the same fate as the 67. He made contact with the wall before any other car. I actually don't think he made contact with any other truck except for maybe Eddie Smith once they got down to the grass.
And I believe last week's winner, the 3 of Michael Kostick, actually was able to avoid any kind of damage on that. It looked like he was able to pretty effectively miss that wreck. So that's going to put us under the first caution here. And you can see few drivers electing to come down pit road, but a bit of a mixed bag of strategy here. It's like we did have 4 drivers elect to stay out. Levi McCarty, Jonathan Cofield, Mauricio Marquez Ramos, and Thaddeus Friel Jr. all electing to stay out on this caution. Jacob Ellingson, the first driver off of pit road, looks like he may have missed his pit box. It's not showing me a box time for him. But then Wesley Burke, Brandon Wallace, really short stops for them. Looks like maybe fuel only. Patrick Drabick, the first driver on 4 tires, and he is going to be restarting in the 8th position on this next restart.
And to go with that, it even looks like the 25 of James Kaufman electing for right side tires only with a 9.4 second stop in the box. So that's a little bit more than fuel, but definitely not 4 tires on that stop. I don't see anybody else matching him. The rest of the field seems to have taken all 4 tires and topping off with fuel, and I would have to agree. I think the 27 just got a little discombobulated coming down pit road as he's going to make another visit here and hit that pit box this time by. Smart move by the 27. Unfortunate circumstances will put him at the back of the field for this restart. But if there's anybody that can drive it back up to the front, it is that Jacob Ellingson in the 27 for certain. Well, we've got a small break in the action here. Why don't we say thank you to our primary sponsor here, SAVE22. If it wasn't for them, we would not be able to put this show on for you guys here tonight. SAVE22 is a 501c3 organization that's dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. Our unwavering mission extends to 4 critical pillars. That's shield, assist, volunteer, and educate. You can check them out at save22.vet. And of course, you can see all the action here for the SAVE22 Truck Series on all these Friday nights. Next week is going to be a good one, taking it out to Phoenix. Daniel, I know that you won't be able to join us for that race, but I'm sure you'll be tuning in at home. Phoenix always puts on quite the show here in any Goat Locker Racing series. Of course, having that uniqueness of being able to cut the dog leg and really poses the threat to, merging back into traffic.
Yeah, I will definitely be tuning in to watch that one from the hotel as we get ready to go to the Clash next week, actually. So I will have that one up, tuning in, listening to you on the broadcast. As we get ready to go back green here, drivers heading to that extreme scoring restart zone. Field will be in control of that 51 of Levi McCarty. He gets a huge jump on this initial start. Really good launch there for the 51 as the battle is on for second between Cofield and Marquez Ramos.
And completely the opposite of those restarts that we were seeing last week, where you want to stay as close to the car behind you as possible and work together. It is not that way at all here at Auto Club, as Patrick Drabick already making moves, almost gets across the nose there of Brandon Wallace on the outside, but just enough room to be clear, and mounting a charge around the outside now of the 98 of Thaddeus Friel, side by side with the 67 of Mauricio Marquez Ramos.
Yeah, and I have no doubts at all that Patrick Drabick will be up there challenging for the lead in short order. The tires, we saw the handling going away, the drivers starting to get loose with it. I think those that stayed out on the old tires will be able to hang on for a few laps just with the heat out of them. But with just as abrasive as this track is, those tires are going to pay dividends over the course of this next run.
We see multiple instances of 2 wide, even some 3 wide here as we're starting to get the field sorted out side by side down the backstretch. The action is not anywhere near from being over just yet. And Drabick getting a huge run around the outside now of Jonathan Cofield. Those are those new tires coming into play. He'll slot in between the 51 and the 58 machine down to the inside now across the line. Levi McCarty still has the advantage. Another lap led for the 51. But before we get into turn one, Drabic will reclaim the lead here and look for his first lap lead of the event.
Yeah, he is going to be able to clear pretty easily, but this is where the Hornet's Nest is. See the 67 of Marquez Ramos. You've got Barkis, Burke, Kostick. I mean, it's easier to say who you don't have in this pack. Michael Jones up there. First time we've seen his name up near the front of the field here this evening. And just, I mean, so many trucks under a blanket running 3 wide here between the 02 of Michael Jones. You've got Cody Anderson there on the bottom. James Kaufman, you mentioned he took 2 tires on that restart. Does not look like it is quite working out for him the way that he had hoped to this point. Slipping back just a little bit here.
Just a touch is a small stack up there from the bottom. Cody Anderson trying to drive it into the corner about the mid lane. Nearly got into the back of the 98. Got on the brakes just enough to keep it clear. Thaddeus Friel Jr. now spiraling behind through the field at the moment. He's lost multiple positions since this race restart, but overall still up 12 spots from where he started back in 24th. So not a bad run at all. The only other driver up more positions right now is the 02 of Michael Jones, gaining 16 positions since we started this race. On board look with the 02 of Jones now. Stuck right in behind of the 04 of Wesley Burke on the outside. They're going to get a run, try to get a run around the 99 of Brandon Wallace, as we're going to have a look to the inside. That's the 33 of Tyler Justice that you can see just behind that timing and scoring banner. And 3 wide down the backstretch here on lap 16. Luckily, there is so much room here at Auto Club that, you know, most tracks you would see 3 wide and kind of tense up a little bit, Daniel, but here it's a pretty freeing feeling, and you can even fit up to 4 wide pretty comfortably. It's about that 5 wide moment that it starts to get a little bit more intense in the driver's seat.
Yeah, this is one of the tracks that it's the easiest to make those 3 wide moves, just because of how wide the track is. Like you mentioned, 4 wide is even doable here. So is the 5 wide if you feel so inclined. That is usually though where the next call you get from your spotter is that you're sideways in the grass. But you can still try it if you feel so inclined. But yeah, and then right there you can see Michael Jones up on that top groove was really ripping the fence up there, running the Larson line. The fresher tires starting to work their way up through the pack though. You've got Kostick, Barkis, Cody Anderson, Mark Whitley. First time we've really talked about him here so far this evening. They have caught McCarty and Cofield, the 2 highest running of those that did stay out on that caution. But it's just, the longer you go, the more that those fresher tires are going to matter, and they're going to prevail over those that had yet to pit.
And looking at that picture right there, you would think that that is the battle for the lead. No, the 07 of Drabic has gotten away by nearly a second and a half over the rest of the top 5 drivers. And you have to wonder, is it going to cost him at some point? Those tires, we talked about it multiple times, are going to be a premium here tonight. Now, of course, that clean air on the nose of the 07 machine is going to be very, very beneficial and might outweigh the cost of those tires in the long run. But Michael Kostick has since gotten free of the traffic, as Cody Anderson will slot in behind him, the 51 of Levi McCarty down on the bottom, and that's going to allow the previous season champion, the 77 of Mark Whitley, to finally work his way up into the top 5 for the first time tonight, running in the 4th position now. You see Jamie Barkis has also gotten around McCarty and Cofield. So now we're starting to see those tires come into play a little bit more. As you just mentioned, those 2 in the highest running of the non-tire taking drivers. Try to say that 3 times fast. But here we are running 6th and 7th, and looking just behind them is the 33 of Tyler Justice, tucked in behind the 58 of Cofield. He's looking for that door to open, but when will it?
Yeah, Tyler Justice doesn't appear to have any sort of lingering damage on that truck from that incident that brought out the caution. We saw him make a little bit of contact with the wall, a little bit of contact with the 87 truck as well. And even Eddie Smith is just 2 spots behind this battle. So No real long-lasting effects for either of those drivers. Truck's still in pretty good running condition here, able to make a lot of moves, able to work their way up through the field as Eddie Smith now looking to try to get around the 71 of Daniel Parks. Daniel Parks, another one of those drivers. He's up 11 spots from where he started this evening. So another driver that has made quite a bit of ground up through the field here tonight.
You know, looking back at last week's race, we spent quite a bit of time breaking down a incident that Eddie Smith had managed to somehow work his way through by some sort of magic. I don't even know how to describe it, but obviously not able to repeat that for the first caution of tonight's race, as we're looking to take lap 22 this time by. He's looking to be in a pretty good spot, still kind of right in the mix of the Hornet's Nest, but has an opportunity to maybe work around it here momentarily and try to get a little bit more free and clear.
Yeah, still trying to navigate these trucks that stayed out on the older tires. Just a few different pit agendas going on here. As we've seen, though, once you get clear of them, it's pretty easy to set sail at that point. It's just trying to keep the momentum up to get around them. Another driver that is doing a really nice job making up a lot of ground here is that 27 of Jake Ellingson, as they look like they were thinking about 4 wide for a second. They're actually going to go 4 wide. Levi McCarty there on the older tires. He got split 2 on the bottom, 1 up top. And again, just what you love about this racetrack. But, you know, we talked about it under that caution. Ellingson missed his pit box, had to come back down a second time, put him at the back of the pack, and he is already back up into the top 10 here. So just 12 laps to be able to get his way back up into the top 10.
A little bit of contact there with Ellingson to the left rear quarter of Daniel Parks coming out of turn number 4. Then on the other side, Chance Taylor got to the inside of the 71 machine, almost put the door to him, but I don't think there's any contact made. It did set the 71 back just a few more spots as he is trying to hold on to the 13th position for the time being. Might be able to recollect that momentum just a little bit here, but there's a whole lot going on just in front of him. Side by side is Chance Taylor and George Jewell down on the inside. Parks gets a look to the inside of Taylor, but that momentum from the top line will prevail on the exit of turn number 2. Look at this. The 48 Ken Huber wants to throw his hat or his name in the hat, as he's going to get a block now from the 71 of Parks. Takes a look down to the inside on the opposite end of the track. And Parks way up high. This will likely end up in the pass being completed by Ken Huber. As it does, Huber will move up to the top.
Yeah, good move there by Ken Huber, able to take that position. And, you know, you mentioned it, able to get up to the top of the track. It seems like once you're able to make that move, you want to try to get up to the top, defend off that momentum as much as you can, as quick as you can. And nice job there by Ken working his way up through the field. He's got Jonathan Cofield there in front of him. And, you know, I get the pit strategy call, trying to save a set of tires, trying to make sure that you've got something left for the end in case of a late caution. But as it stands right now, Jonathan Cofield, even if he does get another caution to reset everything, both he and Levi McCarty are going to be behind the 8-ball on track position. Cofield currently in that 13th, 14th spot. Levi McCarty running 16th. They were both up there leading as the caution is out. Talk about timing. That is the 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr. is around. Some pretty heavy contact, it looked like, to the back of that truck. It's like the 12 of Claire Sisk got a piece of that as well. So to take a look on the V-Speed instant replay at what happened here. That is Claire Sisk as well as Thaddeus Friel. Oh, it looks like the 98 just checked up a little bit, maybe a little tight on exit there, trying to avoid contact with the 0-2. And when Friel checked up, Claire just gets into the back of him and around the 98 goes.
Tell you what, the 0-2 got extremely lucky there. Michael Jones just by a razor's edge almost being collected into that one. I know he had some tough luck last week at Daytona as well as a good portion of the field, but you know, flip the coin this time. He got lucky here tonight.
Well, that will bring out the caution. And you know, those drivers that didn't come down pit road on that first stop were probably happy to see this one. If the race would have gone green, even with a little bit of an undercut, I think they would have been in a bit of a bind to try to make up that ground, make up that track position. But depending on how it plays out for the rest of the race, I mean, it could work out in their favor. They're going to have an extra set of tires in the pits. We've talked about it. We've seen how much those fresh tires mean and just how big of an advantage it is. So as we get ready the pit should open this time around, but I have to think we're probably going to see the entirety of the lead lap cars make their way down pit road to take advantage of this caution.
This really comes into play of, the tire strategy now. A good portion of this field has already used either a full set or a half set, besides those 4 drivers that stayed out last time, as the entire field will bring it down pit road. We will have, it looks like the 98 maybe electing to stay out here. Apologize, not the 98, the 62 of Doug Macedo, looking to gain 1 of his 3 laps back here. Is everybody making their way into their pit stalls now? I haven't seen anybody skid through their pit box. We'll keep an eye right here at the front and see who will win this battle off of pit road. Looks like the first one out is going to be the 77, last year's champion, Mark Whitley, will come out ahead of the entire field and take control of this race lead and this restart, more importantly. Only 6.8 seconds spent in the box this time, so that indicates just a fuel-only stop, not even taking right-side tires. So Whitley electing to save those 2 extra tire sets for closer to the end of the race. I don't dislike that call at all. It kind of flips the script there on Cofield and McCarty. So it's an interesting strategy to do so, but being in control of the restart can play a very pivotal role in just how well that 77 can take control of this race from here.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only thing that I don't like about it this go round compared to those that stayed out the last time is there were more drivers that either didn't take tires or stayed out on the last go round, whereas this time you've got nobody else. You don't have a buffer between those fresher tires. So I think that was part of what allowed those that did stay out to hang on just a little bit longer. As you can see up there, our track conditions, 126 degrees for the track temp, a little bit toasty out there for these drivers. But yeah, I'm with you. I like the mindset. I like the idea of trying to save a set of tires. I'm just not sure how it's going to work out without any friends on that strategy with you.
Well, if you're watching the race, you know that this is the home of Goat Locker Racing and, of course, the SAVE22.bet Truck Series. While you're here, why don't you check out the new Goat Locker Racing web store at glrwebstore.com. You will find quality racing apparel, hats, and gear. And every purchase you make supports veterans, active military, and first responders. Your order also helps fuel our mission and fight back against mental health challenges facing our community. Great gear, real purpose. Visit Goat Locker Racing web store at glrwebstore.com. And don't forget to check out the new Pit Crew. That is a monthly subscription to Goat Locker Racing. You'll get a couple extra benefits there. I know they talked about it on Goat Talk Live last night. If you didn't watch that, go back and tune into that episode where Eddie Smith and Patrick Dravick got to dive a little bit deeper into what is happening with the web store and behind the scenes of Goat Locker Racing. You can find that on Above the Yellow Line Media, ATYL on YouTube, as we make our way into the extreme scoring restart zone for restart number 2, and a little bit of a spin coming from the 77 of Whitley down on the bottom line. He's got Cody Anderson just behind Patrick Dravick up on the top, but Whitley will immediately move up to the top, leaving it side by side here with Dravick and Anderson for P2. Dravick will get the advantage down into turn 1. Take a look just behind. Eddie Smith moving up to the top of the racetrack, trying to get around that 18 machine. I think he slid a little bit too much, though. He's going to lose some of that ground that he just gained on Cody Anderson. Oh, battling
contact
down
in the back. everybody
was
able to
that?
hang on to it. It looked like that was Zachary Minnis and Michael Jones there, able to hang on to it. Definitely some contact between the two of them. But, oh, the 14 of Chance Taylor is around. He's through the infield grass. I don't think it's going to bring out a caution because he has spun off track. It looked like there was contact with the 58 of Jonathan Cofield there, and that was what started that. But we are still green here since he was off the racing surface and back rolling.
So very unfortunate there for the 14 of Taylor. Still a lot of movement happening behind this field. The 51 taking it all the way down to the bottom. They get 4 wide down the back stretch. Looks like Whitley is going to back it out here. Ken Hubert thinks better of it as well. That is a 4-in-1 pass there for Levi McCarty as he gets around George Jewell, Tyler Justice, Ken Hubert, and Mark Whitley within the span of about 200 yards.
Yeah, that was a huge move. And Levi McCarty, we talked about him being up at the front of this race previous to that first caution, the offset on the tire strategy, but he is making a charge to get back up through this field right now. Working to the outside of Jake Ellingson for that number 4 position. Ellingson able to fight back on the inside, try to utilize just a little bit of side draft down the back straightaway. Levi McCarty not quite able to fully clear. See if he can use that momentum from the top groove. He's able to clear around it. He's going to try to go after the 87 here of Eddie Smith also.
To the outside goes the 51. Let's see if he can handle the composure here. I know just last lap he got a little loose out of turn number 2. That kind of shook up the 27 of Ellingson on the bottom side. They were able to keep it off of one another. McCarty takes it all the way up to the top of the track, looking for that momentum. Will he have enough to get side by side and close up the distance between him and Cody Anderson? He does not, but a big move down to the inside as he does have the speed. Side by side for P2. Will McCarty get clear before the exit of 4?
Levi McCarty looking to the inside. Cody Anderson still out there. I believe the 51 is going to be able to clear him. A little bit of a slide job there. Anderson tucks in line behind him. Looks like they're going to be drafting together. Wasn't sure if Cody may try to pull the crossover there, but content to just work with him. And those two trucks drafting together, they are starting to close in on the back bumper of that 07.
They continue to work together. That will just make it a little bit more easy here. As Patrick Drabick, being the first truck in line, breaking through that air, of course, always will suffer a little bit of a speed deficit here at just about any racetrack that's over 1.5 miles long. Of course, here at Auto Club, 2 miles in length.
Oh,
Almost
the 02 is around.
Oh,
The
goodness,
02 of Michael
the
Jones
field.
spins, and everybody does a great job of avoiding him there. Caution is going to come out for that incident here right at the halfway point of this race. Michael Jones able to hang on to it in the field, able to avoid. As we take a look on the V-Speed instant replay, they were 3 wide there momentarily. Jones in the middle, and oh yeah, Kostick on the bottom. And I'm not sure if maybe the 02 thought he was clear and came down the track just a little bit there. It looked like Kostick was pretty well holding his line on the bottom of the track there.
Keeping our eyes or ears open here, hearing over the race communication channel that will be an EOL for the 3 of Kostick. Just got the nose in there, forcing a 3 wide situation. Jones, not knowing that he was down there, had just gotten past, I believe that was the 99 of Brandon Wallace. And then, or possibly the 98 there of Thaddeus Friel Jr. rather, and did not realize that the 3 of Kostick had made that lunge down to the bottom. So that will set Kostick back to the back of the field. Luckily, though, for the 02 of Jones, no real damage sustained here on this one. Looks like he's going to make a visit down to pit road regardless of the situation. Maybe just have the team check it out, see if he has anything going on with maybe that rear suspension. Of course, he's going to have a little bit of scrubbing there on the tires, but we barely got into the heat range. One of these tires started to warm up. So he should be all right to continue on this set. The rest of the field will bring it down and top off on fuel. Cody Anderson has elected to stay out, however, and he will assume the lead.
And speaking of fuel here, Logan, we haven't really talked about how long these drivers can go on a fuel run. Talking to a few folks before the race, they were saying anywhere between about 35 to 37 laps. So those drivers electing to come down pit road here, it looks like your top 10 stayed out. So Cody Anderson, Eddie Smith, George Jewell, Daniel Parks, Jonathan Cofield, your top 5. Samuel Joseph, James Kaufman, Thaddeus Friel, Zachary Menace, and Chance Taylor, they all stayed out. They are going to have to pit at least one more time in this race for fuel. Whereas Patrick Drabick in 11th, your first driver out, he is going to be able to make it to the end from here. So maybe some of these guys that elected to come down and top off, maybe trying to pull a little hoodwink here on the rest of the field and see if they can maybe try to steal one on fuel mileage.
Well, we know that 99 of Brandon Wallace always tries to play that fuel strategy game, so keep an eye on him. He always makes that oddball call there late in the race. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. We'll have a look here as we have crested that halfway point of tonight's event. Coming around to lead, I believe, his first lap here. That will be lap number 2 led for Cody Anderson. So, of course, picking up that very important bonus point that, championships are sometimes decided by one point or another. Eddie Smith will assume the outside spot.
Indeed they can, and also a playoff spot could be decided by just that single point as well. So definitely important to get that in as far as the bonus points go. But while we have a moment here rather under this caution, let's thank another one of our great league sponsors that we have here, and that is Zat Graphics. They are a family-owned independent business with emphasis on Christian values, honesty, and commitment, located in Brownsburg, Indiana. Their service policy means treating each customer with the individual attention that they deserve. Contact them at zatgraphics.com. Zat Graphics, we can put your design on almost anything, and we appreciate their support of everything here at Goat Locker.
I like that they emphasize almost anything. It makes you wonder, what are some of the things that they won't put graphics on? That'll be a discussion for a later date at a much later time. We're going to come around through turns 3 and 4 here. And Cody Anderson, Eddie Smith on the front row will lead us into the extreme scoring restart zone. Restart number 3 of the race. As the pace truck will come off. About 100 yards to go here. They're going to slam on that loud pedal. Here we go. Green flag waves and a big wiggle throughout the entire field. My goodness, I'm surprised that didn't wind up being an incident there. I counted about 6 or 7 cars up here in the top 15 that all had a slight little miscalculation on just how hard to hit that throttle.
Yeah, old tires on a restart at this track is not easy to pull off, but great job by the field getting rolling, avoiding any contact, any cautions, and we are back racing down the back straightaway. Cody Anderson with your race lead. Eddie Smith trying to pull the spin and win here today. He has had a really awesome recovery up into that number 2 position. He's right behind the 18 of Cody Anderson, and let's give a shout out to George Jewell running up there in the number 3 position. First time we've really talked about him here this evening. Just kind of had a quiet night, started inside the top 10, kind of been running right back around that fringe top 10 area for most of the race, but up here in a podium position at the moment.
I know Jewell has a fan out there in the YouTube chat that'll be extremely happy to see the success that he's having so far here today. In that P3 spot, podium position for the time being. Jonathan Cofield, Samuel Joseph making up the rest of the top 5. Daniel Parks, Thaddeus Friel Jr., Patrick Drabick, Levi McCarty, James Kaufman in the back half of the top 10. As a near instant there, oh my goodness, the 71 almost
they're
into
4
the
wide
right
down the
rear.
straightaway here. They're thinking about 5 wide, but they think better of it.
Oh, there
but they're
it
wrecking.
is.
The 98 of Thaddeus Friel is around. Caution
Daniel
is back
Parks
out on the
wrapped up.
speedway.
The 20 just sneaks by.
Oh, big damage on the 99 of Brandon Wallace as well. A big hit to the driver's side door. And that is going to put us under yet another caution here at Auto Club.
Goodness gracious. Cautions sometimes breed cautions. I think that's exactly what we saw. getting to the back half of the race where the intensity will amplify.
Well, I didn't even see the hit that Jamie Barkis took there right on the right front of that number 15 truck, but you can see it there. 4 wide, thinking about 5 wide. That does not work very well. Contact between Parks and Friel, and there was Barkis. I don't know how much damage he got, but it looks like that left front fender definitely has a pretty big crease in it there. Take one more look at this. I didn't even see how Brandon Wallace, it looked like he just got on the brakes hard and the back end snapped around, maybe a little too much rear brake dialed into it, along with those heat cycle tires. And he actually comes down across the front of the 77 to Mark Whitley.
And a big hit there to the right front of Whitley. So that'll be damage on last season's champion. The 31 of Zachary Minnis took a hard lick to the passenger side of the truck. There's a lot to break down with this one. There was contact with the wall coming out of turn 4 for Thaddeus Friel Jr. That's kind of what, not necessarily set this up, but kind of set this up. And a lot of movement to the inside there of Daniel Parks. Just a lot of jockeying for position across the front stretch. All in all, it could have been a lot worse. A lot of good avoidances there. Oh, nearly backed up into the driving line there of the 7 of Charles Abert. That might be a code brown there for the racing suit. That was a lot closer than what I had originally anticipated.
Yeah, that was definitely a close moment there. So that is definitely, though, going to put these drivers that came in on the previous caution, it's going to definitely put them in the window where they can make it to the end from here on fuel. However, you take a look at some of those drivers that stayed out and you just wonder, when are they going to come down and make that final pit stop? A lot of different pit strategy that, I'm going to be honest, Logan, I didn't anticipate with this race tonight. I kind of looked at the fuel run, thought this is going to be fairly straightforward as far as when you want to pit, and it is proving to be the exact opposite here this evening.
You know, Daniel, I know one thing that we always like to do is try to get the YouTube chat involved, and there's a comment out here that I'm seeing that I have to bring to attention here, and it's time from Timbo. And he made the comment, if the 65 of Samuel Yosef wins, he will get a tattoo of his number on his arm. And I just want to point that out because I want that on record here. You can't go back and delete that comment and say you never said it. It is on the record now, live here on V-Speed. So I'm sure that if Samuel Yosef comes out with a win tonight, he will hold you accountable for making such an egregious comment.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you this is just a personal note. So there was another series that I raced in that I said, if I win a race this season, I will get a tattoo based off of my car that I'm running. And I thought, ain't no way. I'm not very fast this season. It's not going to happen. I won a race on my granddad's birthday of all times that I won in an Oregon Ducks car, and I have the Oregon Ducks tattoo on my leg to prove it. So I'm just saying, be careful when you say that out there in the chat, because there will be people that will hold you accountable, and that's when it seems to kind of happen.
Yeah, I can't say, I don't know. We typically try to pick out a potential race winner, and we know that your track record is not the best, so I'm going to have to ask you to refrain from picking the 65.
Yeah, I'm not picking the 68, or 65 rather. That's not going to happen tonight.
I want to see this happen, so I'm going to make that pick on the 65. We'll see if Samuel Yosef can come away with a race win here in race number 2 at Auto Club. And then he's already made the comment back. He stands by his choices, so a man of his word. Let's see if the 65 can put it together. He'll be rolling off on this restart here in P3 with Patrick Drabick to his outside. Cody Anderson and Eddie Smith both on the front row still yet. Trying to get some heat in the tires back there, just a few rows deep. Row number 5 there on the inside line. That should be Zachary Minnis in the 31 machine. But down through turns 3 and 4 now. The slow pace truck speed. Roughly 70 miles an hour. I say that's slow, it's highway speeds, but whenever you get used to seeing these trucks ripping around at 165, 170 miles an hour in packs, it looks much slower. But it's going to dive off here into the extreme scoring restart zone for the 4th time tonight. Green flag waves, and away goes Cody Anderson off the bottom. A great fire for the 18. The 87 still stuck up on the top line. Patrick Drabick will
aggressive
fall
move from
out from
Drabick.
behind. They're all switching spots back here. Drabick to the inside. Levi McCarty took a look to the inside. He's going to get by here. Samuel Joseph falling back to P5. Smith back to third. Drabick trying to put a run together here.
Yeah, Patrick Drabick is the highest running driver that did come down pit road on that, not the most recent caution, but the caution before that. So we know that he should be good to go to the end on fuel from here, especially with the 8 of those cautions. Levi McCarty in the 51 would be the next one in line for that as well. So just another kind of wrinkle to keep in mind here. Cody Anderson last pitted 16 laps ago. Same with Eddie Smith and Samuel Joseph. So a few different strategies at play, but one thing that we have seen consistently throughout the evening is that 07 and the 51 just seem like they can cut their way through the field in ways that we haven't really seen from a whole lot of other drivers as of yet.
But still, there is plenty of race to go as the 07's going to take a look to the inside into turn 3. Anderson holding on to that middle lane. Everybody behind will mostly fall in down to the bottom. Keeping some clean air on the nose is Eddie Smith, staying about a half car up length from behind the 51. Can't quite
the
put the run
51's got to
together.
move here. He's got to run. We'll see if he can use it to get that track position on Patrick Drabick. Drabick tries to run up the track with him instead of taking that extreme lower lane. But it looks like Levi McCarty is going to have the momentum on corner exit to clear Patrick Drabick. Now let's see if he can get up there and mount a challenge for the race lead. He's looking to the inside of Cody Anderson. He's going to have to try to make quick work and clear at this point. He's got the nose ahead, and he's going to slide in front of the 18 of Anderson.
Samuel Joseph just behind pulls the same exact move on Eddie Smith. He moves back up into the 4th spot. So McCarty, Anderson, Patrick Drabick, Samuel Joseph, Eddie Smith in that order this time by. Starting lap number 47. We're coming to the end of this one here. Just a little over 20 laps to go, but again, just so much time left on the board. We've seen 4 cautions so far tonight. We'll see if they can take it green to the end. Just behind, Michael Jones battling in the top 10 spot. He's got the 04 of Wesley Burke, and the 25 of James Kaufman just got clear. Still side by side with Burke, who's trying to work around the outside in 3 and 4. It is a jumbled up mess just behind. Near
Drabick into the wall. That was a pretty hard hit to the right side of that truck as well. Visually, it doesn't look like it has any damage on it, but man, just the way that he hit, you got to wonder if there might be just a touch of aero damage as Samuel Joseph now looking to the outside of Drabick. Not sure if he's going to be able to pull off the pass here or not. Still hanging right on that right rear quarter panel, going to have the momentum down the back straightaway. But again, just got to wonder how hard is that hit for the 07 and how bad is it going to hurt that truck?
One thing you always have to worry about with contact with the wall too is if you have any sort of steering input into the truck, you can damage that tie rod in and create some sort of a steering damage for yourself. That'll essentially scrub the tires even worse than they already do in these high temperatures, still in the triple digits, 124 degrees on the racing surface right now. So we've come down just a couple degrees, but not nearly enough to really make a difference in the racing. That's the beautiful thing about Auto Club. One of the things that we're going to severely miss in the real NASCAR series is just the multi-groove racing that it provides. Side by side down into turn 3, Eddie Smith on the inside, Jacob Ellingson on the outside now. In the 5th position is the 27 with the nose just ahead. Ellingson doing a great job of recovering from when he missed that pit stall the first time by. Fell all the way to the back of the field. And what I say, Daniel, if there's anybody that can drive it back up to the front, it is Jacob Ellingson doing a great job of that right now. Michael Jones takes a dive to the inside, makes it 3 wide with Eddie Smith. The meet in
Ken
the
Huber's thinking 4 wide. Ken Huber is saying, I'm going to the bottom, tries to take it 4 wide. Michael Jones backs out of it. They shuffle back down to 2 wide there, just side-by-side racing. But that was an aggressive move by both of those drivers. And Ellingson and Michael Jones, 2 of the biggest movers on the night so far. Michael Jones actually the biggest mover, up 20 spots. Ellingson up 16 spots. So both of those drivers working their way through the pack, making a lot of passes. And Ellingson's had to do it twice now. Like you mentioned, he had worked his way up into the top 10, had gotten up there earlier, went to the back again. So, I mean, they don't give out points for passing the most trucks. But if they did, I think it would go to the 27 at this point.
Now, taking a look at the driving line of the O2 Michael Jones, I'm not the biggest fan of how far he is diving into the corner. That will be a very big role in the tires, how much they burn up. The further you drive it into the corner and have to slow that thing down to make the apex here, those front tires, especially that front right, will be screaming for help by the end of this run. So I would almost have to think at some point he'll have to change his attack method here, save that right front a little bit more. If he wants to stay competitive, he gets into Eddie Smith, sends him up the track with a fantastic save. My goodness, Eddie Smith was at a full 45-degree angle in front of the rest of the field. Luckily, nobody else got into him, but he is going to be upset about that move from the O2 Michael Jones. You'd have to wonder if the 87 gets back to him, do you give him that chrome horn?
Well, it's a good thing Eddie Smith is sponsored by Tide, because I think he's going to need to put his fire suit through a wash cycle or two after that one. That was all but wrecked, and he was able to hang on to it right there. Great save by Eddie Smith, trying to get around the 85 of James Goshen now and see if he could get back on the attack to make up some of this track position. But yeah, I'm with you. If that happens in a race, you know you have got to be absolutely fuming behind the wheel, all that work that you put in for the track position. And one thing that you and I can both confirm, Logan, race car drivers don't forget. Whether it is real life, virtual, no matter what it is, you remember every driver that has made contact with you, no matter when it happened.
Yeah, it could be from 3 seasons ago, and you're still thinking about that, especially when you make a visit back to the same track. So you always have to wonder, there's a lot of shuffling there back behind. That's the 27 of Ellingson up on the top. He was getting bounced around there. I think it was George Jewell in the middle with the 33 of Tyler Justice down on the bottom. 3 wide up in front. Cody Anderson rubbing door handles with the 07 of Patrick Dravick, if these trucks had any, rather. And 3 wide, 2 times behind them. The intensity really starting to pick up as we are closing in on 15 laps to go.
And Jonathan Cofield now back up to the number 3 position. We saw all that track position that he lost earlier in the race by staying out on those older tires. He pitted on this last caution and took 4 tires. So that is the extra set that he had from earlier in the race, putting it to use now, battling Samuel Joseph here for that number 2 position. See a little bit of side drafting there down the front straightaway. Cofield on the inside. He does have 14 laps as the advantage on his tires over the 65 of Joseph, and even has 6 laps over Levi McCarty. Granted, a few of those were under caution, but now that he is clear of the rest of the pack, it's going to be interesting to see if that 58 can start to make up some ground and get up there to put some pressure on McCarty.
You almost have to wonder if that forbidden Y word, if that was to come out again, how does that change the outcome of this race for these drivers? We've already made multiple pit stops. I've kind of lost track of who has taken tires, who might have that extra set still laying over the pit wall. But with 15 to go this time by, Levi McCarty with a 1.6 second lead over Jonathan Cofield. Continues to grow just slightly here. So I don't know if that 6-lap difference will really be able to play a big role in Cofield's, ability to drive this track, as more door banging back behind. That's Chance Taylor on the inside with the 27 of Ellingson up on the outside. Both of them get a little squirrely coming down the back straight. They got it lined out. 14 of Taylor now attacking to the inside of Eddie Smith, who's stuck behind the 33 of Tyler Justice, the 02 of Michael Jones. He's getting closer. Will we see retaliation from that Tide machine on the Mobile One?
That is the question that remains to be answered here at this point. And real quick, Logan, you were talking about the different tire strategies and who still has a set in the pits. Just taking a look through the grid right now, from what I can tell, pretty much everybody should have 1 set of tires left. It seems like everybody has come down pit road 3 times, at least one of those being for fuel only. So I think everybody, despite all the different strategies, is pretty much on even footing as far as the remaining sets go.
Very tight through 3 and 4 there with Drabick and Anderson side by side. The 40 of Ken Huber took a look, might have tried to get to the inside of Drabick as he almost does the same thing here across the front stretch. I think he backed out of it just a little bit more that time by. Michael Jones down to the bottom here. 33 of Tyler Justice to the inside. Chance Taylor behind the 0-2. Up back towards the front. Cofield has closed that gap down to just 1.2 seconds to Levi McCarty. So it does appear that 6-lap difference is making a difference here. Slowly but surely, I don't know if he's going to have enough time left to catch back up to Levi McCarty before that checkered flag waves. But we'll find out here momentarily as we cross over the start-finish line to start lap 59.
Yeah, Cofield was 2/10 faster on that most recent lap. If he keeps that pace up, he will most certainly be there before the end of this race. Plus, if he gets in that window where he can start sniffing a little bit of draft, it's going to help him pull up closer as well. As you can see here, Eddie Smith looking to the inside of the 33 of Tyler Justice back in this Hornet's nest. He's got his old friend Michael Jones right there in front of him in that 0-2. These drivers all battling back in the back half of the pack right now, trying to work their way back up through the field. But Eddie Smith now looking to the inside of the 0-2, and they do make contact. Oh, he's turned. The 0-2 of Michael Jones is around, and the caution is out.
The yellow flag waves on lap 60 as the 0-2 gets back out on the track from the infield grass. You almost have to think certainly a little bit of retaliation. Might have been a little bit more than even Eddie Smith might have been anticipating. But we all saw it coming from the moment that the 0-2 got into the 87. A good look of it here from the pit wall. No other driver collected in that one. But the emotion's high for both of those drivers, certainly at this point, as they've been battling it out ever since the 0-2 was able to get up through the field and start really throwing his name in the hat in the top 10. He's going to fall quite a few positions back. Of course, those tires now are going to be struggling as a lot of that slide was spent on
Logan,
the asphalt.
Looking at that onboard, I am not convinced that that was intentional. I don't know. Let's look at it one more time, but it looks like Eddie Smith, he's definitely tight on him. But the 0-2 moves down, and then after they make that initial contact, it looked like Eddie was just trying to hang on to it at that point. So I'm not 100% sure that that was intent there, but the initial contact to me looked like it was caused by the 0-2 moving down just a bit into the 87.
It seemed like a little bit of a shuffle there from Tyler Justice on the outside. The 0-2 overcorrecting just a touch, maybe. But the 87 right there applying the pressure. And Eddie Smith will pick up a black flag here. He will take it to the back of the field, picking up that EOL for the cause of caution. Race control has deemed that one necessary. I'm not surprised by any means. He did get to the inside there. That's typically how those faults go. The aggressor will get sent to the back. 25th position now for the 87. We're going to bring it all down pit road here once again. Chance Taylor, he's going to stay out on the track with Ken Huber. We're going to be led down by the 51 of Levi McCarty. Another driver will join the two that have stayed out. I believe that will be a lap car, however, behind Huber.
Oh, and taking a look on pit road, the 58 of Cofield, it looked like he got spun getting into his pit box. The crew is still actually pitting the car. I thought it would be too much of an angle for him to be able to make the pit, but he is able to get his service completed, and I think he may have only lost one spot in that entire transaction there. I think the 07 did get out ahead of him, and yeah, Patrick Drabick taking the spot ahead, but that could have been just catastrophic at this point. Basically a race ender if he would have had to have backed up and got back into his pit stall again.
A great question out there from the YouTube chat. Archie Anderson, does Glove Station ship to Scotland? I don't know the answer to that, but Archie, if you tune in next week, I will be sure to get a hold of the people who will have the answer, and we can certainly let you know. Of course, Glove Station sponsoring the white flag. We're not quite to that point yet, but we do have Alexander PCs to say thanks to while we have a break in the action. Alexander PCs is a custom and gaming PC builder who has been building and modding systems since 2002. They are a veteran-owned and operated family business, and all of their team members support and produce are US-based. All desktop PCs come with an industry-best lifetime limited warranty and service guarantee. Work, play, conquer. Alexander PC. We thank them for being a part of this, as I know they had a big hand in last year's Sim Racing Expo that was hosted up in Chicago. Looking forward to making a visit back to that one again. I know the dates, I don't know if the dates rather are confirmed, but I know that it is confirmed to be held in Chicago one more time here in the 2026 calendar year. It's a very cool thing to go see. A lot of the Goat Locker guys were able to make a visit. Patrick Drabick, Andy Carnes were out there. Jake Ellingson, Cody Anderson, Daniel Kirkeel also making an appearance up there in Chicago. Got to hang out with a good bunch of the group there for a small portion of the weekend. Setting up the Goat Locker Racing tent, had the sim rig out there, letting everybody have their hand at it, trying to set the fastest lap time of the day. Fastest lap time of today's event, I believe, will be Chance Taylor with a, I apologize. No, we do have a driver down into the 41 second bracket. That is the 07 of Patrick Drabick, the 41.879. Pace truck will dive off back down Pace Road into the extreme scoring restart zone for what could be the last time tonight. Green flag waves. Chance Taylor.
Oh, big wiggle on the inside lane.
Ken Huber not able to get it going. A lot of avoidance here. The 51 of Menace down to the bottom. A great job to not get anything collected up in that and immediately bring the yellow flag back out. But Patrick Drabick looking to drive away from the mess behind.
And I did just hear race control say that restart was going to be under review. There are rules about changing lanes before the start-finish line. I don't know how exactly they are going to view that when you're taking evasive maneuvers to miss to basically just not run over somebody. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for that, but I believe they are going to say the restart is good since everything was based on an evasive maneuver. Back up at the front, though, Patrick Drabick, now your race leader. Cody Anderson in second. Jonathan Cofield in the final spot on the podium. And there is what we may call the sentimental favorite, Samuel Yosef. We are hoping to give a tattoo artist out there somewhere a little bit of extra work after this race if the 65 can find his way up to the lead.
P4 right now, contact with the wall behind.
Big wreck on the back straightaway.
The 20 involved, the 25 involved, Chance Taylor in it.
Tyler Justice caught up as well.
I don't know if you saw it, but Eddie Smith able to recall his abilities from Daytona, snuck through down on the apron.
Oh, what happened to I'm sorry.
By.
I'm sorry. I thought something happened to Patrick Drabick. I saw him falling down the scoring pylon there, and I think it was just a momentary blink out there that happened with the 07 still rolling. So my apologies on that, Logan. But let's go back and take a look on the V-Speed instant replay here. Looking almost four wide here on corner exit of turn number 2. That's Jason Kristen up top. A little bit of door banging there with the 25 of James Kaufman. And the wreck is on from there. Just nowhere for Chance Taylor or Tyler Justice to go as Kaufman was turned sideways in the middle of the track there.
Just a lot of contact made. 68-7 able to get by. Goodness, I believe 6 cars involved in that one.
Oh, Brandon Wallace with a late hit there as well.
Yeah, the 25 of Kaufman picks up a meatball flag. The 99 of Brandon Wallace also picks up a meatball flag. Oh, it's just a little bit of contact there from the 77 of Whitley. It's reminiscent of when Wallace came across the nose there of Whitley just a few cautions ago. More wide. Hopping on board with James Kaufman here, stuck in the middle of all of it. We see the 20 bounce off the wall there. That kind of started the shuffle. Came back down, caught the right rear of Kaufman. Got T-boned in the midst of all that as well. Nearly sent over on his roof. All in all, could have been way worse, but not a great circumstances. This will bring us to, I believe, what will be a natural green-white checkered here tonight.
I believe you are indeed correct on that. Just taking a look, we've got 4 to go. Free Pass is getting their wave around now. And that is, I mean, huge damage for the 99 of Brandon Wallace. That was a really hard hit to the wall. That right front tire not even touching the racing surface at this point. And he is showing a meatball flag as well, as is the 25 of James Kaufman. So essentially race over for those two drivers. But just to give a quick recap here, under this caution, Patrick Drabick, your leader, Cody Anderson second, got Jonathan Cofield, Samuel Joseph, and Wesley Burke, your top 5. After a bit of a discombobulated restart on that last one due to the tire spin on the front row.
So Drabick will hold on to the lead. Cody Anderson, Jonathan Cofield, Samuel Joseph, Wesley Burke making up the top 5. So time for Timbo. You are not safe just yet. He is still right in the hunt for this race win. We'll see how it goes once we get back to this green flag drop. Looks like the 07 might be electing for a top line restart here. We saw Chance Taylor take that lane on the previous restart. Had pretty good success as Ken Huber spun it up on the bottom. Cody Anderson will have to mind the throttle input here once we get back around the track. Doubled up here with 3 to go. So a natural green-white checkered indeed. And of course, we will have 2 more if we need them. We're going to see just how this plays out. Of course, to start the race, Patrick Drabick elected for a top line start. Wesley Burke was able to get around on the inside rather quickly. So you have to wonder what the strategy might be in the head of the 07. See if we can take this one around back to the checkered flag. Of course, as you know, once that white flag waves, all bets are off. The yellow will not come out again, but if they can't make it to the white flag, we'll restack the field and take attempt number 1 at the green-white checkered.
And you know, it is worth pointing out here, Logan, Samuel Joseph going to be restarting behind the leader with Drabick electing to take that top groove. So Timbo might want to start looking for that tattoo artist here.
On the outside behind Drabick. To the inside is the 58 at Cofield. The restart zone sponsored by Extreme Scoring coming up once more. Green flag in the air and away we go. Let's see if we can take it to the end. A great start there for the 07. He's going to get a couple car lengths clear, and diving down to the inside immediately is Wesley Burke, going to make it 3 wide entering turn 1.
Cofield 3 wide in the middle there in the 58. Samuel Joseph up on the top side trying to maintain that momentum. Here comes Levi Bacardi trying to give a shove to Joseph. They funnel back down to 2 wide, still side by side. Down the back straightaway, Drabick all the way to the apron trying to break the draft. He is out in front by 3 truck lengths. Oh, his contact behind. Joseph able to hang on to it. What a save out of the 65. That's going to let us get to the white flag and go green to the end. But here comes Cody Anderson. White flag presented by Glove Station in the air.
Quality gloves and protective gear to get you across the finish line. And we're going to find out who's got what it takes. Cody Anderson, the only one really in contention right now. Will he move the 07 out of the way once we get down into turn 3? Drabick into the wall. That's going to give Anderson the advantage. Will he get side by side? He's going to fall in line, pick up the draft a little bit longer. Back to the top, a little bit more contact with the wall and corner entry. Falling in line down to the bottom. It's a scramble for third place. Cofield, Burke, McCarty all fighting for position, but able to stay out ahead is the Jam Printing and Promotions truck, the 07 of Patrick Travick. First appearance on the season and first win on the board.
Wow, really strong run there at the end from Patrick Travick. Cody Anderson gave it a valiant effort. Gotta wonder if he had maybe just another lap or two to try to set something up. Could he have gotten around him? But Travick able to hang on, leads 26 laps here this evening. Box score is going to say started on pole, finished in P1. But what a roller coaster evening for that driver of the 07 and a really impressive win here at Auto Club.
Of course, Auto Club, not an easy one to tame by any means, as Travick will make his way back around to the front stretch and starts his celebration as he gets back to the start-finish line here tonight in California. What a run for the Jam Printing and Promotions 07 team, burning it down on the infield. As he continues his celebration, we're going to send it to a quick commercial break, have a word from a couple other of our Goat Locker Racing sponsors, get set up for our post-race show. We'll run through the results, have a little chat with our top 3 finishers. We'll be right back. Stick around, everybody.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
And we are back here in Fontana, California after a spectacular race we had on our hands for race number 2 of the SAVE22 .vet Truck Series here. 6 cautions on the board with 8 lead changes. Let's take a look at our finishing results. We saw it live. Patrick Drabick able to edge out Cody Anderson here by just 1.5 tenths of a second. Cody Anderson taking home second in the 18 machine. Jonathan Cofield rounding out our podium finishes. And we'll have a word with those 3 just momentarily. Wesley Burke had a valiant attempt there at the end. Nearly had a podium spot. Just couldn't quite get around the 58 machine. He'll round out in the 04 in 4th. Levi McCarty with the alternate strategy call nearly paid off for him as well. But the 51 takes home a top 5 finish. And time for Timbo, you're safe by 5 positions. The 65 is Samuel Yosef. Will take home P6 on tonight's event. The 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr. taking home 7th with James Goshen. In the 85, taking home 8th. Michael Kostick in the 3 in 9th. And in the top 10 is the 87 of Eddie Smith.
Coming home in the 11th position is going to be Daniel Parks. Mark Whitley coming home in 12th. In 13th is going to be Mauricio Marquez Ramos with Jamie Barkis in 14th. Jake Ellingson finishes in 15th this evening. Michael Jones in 16th, Tyler Justice 17th, Matt Knights 18th, Claire Sisk in 19th, and Zachary Menace rounding out the top 20.
In 21st, it's the 40 of Ken Huber. We saw him battling up towards the front for a good portion of the night. He'll be followed up by the 7 of Charles Abert. The 14 of Chance Taylor gets wrapped up a couple times, takes home 23rd on the night, with Jason Kristen in the 20 in 24th. The 25 of James Kaufman, the 62 of Doug Macedo takes home 25th, with the 25 of James Kaufman taking home 26th, just behind. Brandon Wallace, of course, getting wrapped up late in the race, receiving that meatball flag, unable to finish the event, will take home 27th. And last but not least, the 36 of George Jewell with an early exit, 9 laps down. Well, what do you say we get right into our interviews here with our podium finishers, and starting off with the man, the myth, the legend. It's going to be Patrick Drabick joining us here in the booth. Once I find where he is. There he is. Let's pull him down here and have a word with Drabick. If I could hit the correct button. Now we have 2 different booths here. Now he's in the right booth. Patrick Drabick, you've got Logan and Daniel up here in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, it took me a couple tries to get you here, but we're going to have a word with you. The 26 laps that you led, you obviously put the Jam Printing and Promotions truck on the pole, also sponsored by Jam Printing and Promotions. And of course, taking home the trophy here today in your first event of the season. How does it feel to lock yourself into the playoffs so early?
Man, I love Auto Club, so I was excited to get here. Sucks I missed Daytona last week. And so to jump into the Truck Series tonight, grab the pole, bring home the win, it feels really, really good. And to give Jam Printing and Promotions, their truck on the pole and in victory lane, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, right?
Not at all.
Well, that is definitely a solid night's work there. And, even though, like I mentioned on the broadcast, box score is going to say you started first, finished first, but doesn't really tell the full story, given that you had to work your way up through the field a couple of times there. With all the different pitch strategies, how did you manage that throughout the race of just when do you take tires, when do you come down for fuel only?
I don't even think I managed it that well, to tell you the truth. I thought at one point I had the strategy, and then we caught a couple more cautions, and some guy saved a set of tires, and I'm like, oh man, we are going to be behind now. And then, we caught that caution with, 10 laps to go, and that put everybody back on equal playing field. So I'd like to say something clever, like I had it all figured out, but I didn't. It just, That caution coming out on lap 10, which put everybody back on the same playing field, is really what played out, because normally at Auto Club you don't see that many cautions. You can kind of get green flag stops, and that's what I was kind of banking on there a little bit. But still played out my way, and we snuck out of here with a win.
Indeed, you did. Real quick before we get to who you have to say thanks to, we had a question in the YouTube chat earlier that I believe that you would know or possibly know the answer to this question. It was a question about Glove Station. Do they ship to Scotland?
I don't know. I don't work for Glove Station. I think they ship, all around. Why would I know the answer to that question?
Because you work so closely with them.
You're the boss man around here. You're supposed to
I'm
know
not the
these
boss
things,
of Glove
man.
Station. I'm the
No, but you're the Go Locker boss.
Well, I tell you what, if they do not, and that individual wants a set of gloves from Glove Station can ship them to me, and I'll ship them to Scotland. How's that?
Hey,
Perfect.
that works for me if that works for you. Archie Anderson, there is your answer from earlier. Now, Patrick Dravick, who do you have to say thanks to for your race win here at Auto Club for the first time that the SAVE22 Truck Series has visited this legendary track?
Well, I want to give a huge shout out to Dan Cunningham. I've been working with him over the past few weeks through a couple different things. He's kind of struggled with, where does he kind of fit in certain places and what exactly to say and things like that. And I think we had a breakthrough this week. So I want to say a huge shout out to Dan Cunningham. Man, you make me proud each and every day. Love you, buddy.
Thanks, Dad.
But no. Yeah, no problem, buddy. But Jam Printing and Promotions, obviously, man, they've been on the side of my truck forever. I love this truck to death. Love this paint scheme. So excited to bring it home here tonight. Lincoln Tech and everything that they do for us. Of course, SAVE22. My goodness, I think I was talking on Goat Talk last night. I've got so many hats and SAVE22 shirts. It's crazy. We are going to start pumping those things out there, which is going to be phenomenal. And then the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. I mean, without them and the gracious grant from them, we wouldn't be who we are and being able to do the things that we're doing, like give out sim rig number 14 next week. So thanks, guys, for everything you guys do in the booth. Thanks to everybody that is a race director, series director, race controller, broadcaster, all the people that make this thing go. I can never say thank you enough.
Well, that will do it for Patrick Dravick. Congratulations on your race win here tonight. We'll see you next week when we take the series out to Phoenix.
Hell yeah.
That'll lead us into an interview with our second place finisher. That's going to be Cody Anderson joining us up here in the V-Speed booth. Get him pulled down here. Cody Anderson, you've got Daniel and Logan up here in the booth. You got a copy, driver?
I got you.
Well, what a drive that you had just overall. We saw you throughout just about the entirety of the field. You started out in 19th. You worked your way up to the front, got 11 laps led. So, of course, picking up what could be a very important bonus point. The spin cycle did not strike tonight, so that's always a good sign. Tell me a little bit about your drive up to the front of this field.
Just like Wednesday night, qualifying didn't go the way that I planned, and it was just safe mode from the start. Unfortunately, some cautions fell where I didn't need them. So drove harder than I really wanted to. Towards the end there, when I finally got out front, that's the two back-to-back cautions we had. I actually had enough fuel to go to the end. But it was just really trying to stay on Pat. I knew if I could time that last restart pretty good, I could at least be right on his bumper going into one. But he got such a jump on me, it was just playing chase with him at that point.
Still a really solid run for you coming home in second place. And I got to ask, because you were pretty close on him going into turn 3 on that last lap. You did a great job of tracking him back down with that jump that he had. Did the thought ever go through your mind of using the chrome horn on the guy that runs the place around here?
If it wasn't Pat, I probably would have done it. But I've got too much respect for Pat to do that to him.
I feel like that's more of a good reason to do it.
But well, I'll remember next time to do it.
There you go. Flip the script a little bit. Congratulations on P2 here tonight, Cody. That was quite the drive that you put together. Is there anybody that you'd like to say thanks to or shout out that might be watching at home?
I just want to say thanks to Jam Printing and Promotions, SAVE22 for sponsoring the truck series for us. You guys at V Speed, you guys put on an amazing broadcast every night of the week for us and all the other leagues that you guys do. Everybody over at Alexander PCs, Cruising Classics, GTR Simulators, all my guys over at CSM Motorsports, all the guys at Powerhouse Motorsports, and TJ and the Joe Gibbs Racing Sim crew.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Cody. We'll catch up with you next week when we take the series down to Phoenix.
See you next week.
That leaves us with just one to go here. Daniel, that's our third place finisher. Jonathan Cofield will be joining us here in the booth. Jonathan, you've got Daniel and Logan up here. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, a fantastic race that you had, obviously coming away with P3. Nothing to scoff at by any means, but I think most importantly, what I want to know, the alternate strategy that you had played out at the beginning of this race alongside Levi McCarty. You obviously got ahead of him by 2 spots here tonight, but obviously everything also got kind of discombobulated there at the end and gathered back up, put everybody on the same strategy. But what was the thought process early on staying out with those much older tires? I think it was 13 or 14 laps between the rest of the field and you.
Yeah, actually, I got off in the first caution. I think we'd only ran like 8 laps, and some people had pitted, and I was like, it's way too early to take a set. And I don't know. And then later on, I was like, maybe we'll just save it, fell back through the field there. But I knew that saving that set was only gonna be right if that last run went green, and it didn't. 10 to go, caution comes out. I think I possibly had the win. I was running Levi down pretty fast, but that caution come out and ended up putting us back on fair playing ground there.
Well, talking about the different tire strategies and the different pit strategies, when you got back behind on track position, how was it trying to manage the dirty air and working your way up through the field?
Well, it was pretty horrible, the dirty air. The truck already pushes really bad if you get on throttle too early coming out of the corner. But I was really trying to run down there in the flat and just keep all the air on my nose, not trying to get in everybody else's wake, really slow the truck down. You can really overdrive the truck here if you ain't careful and really burn your stuff up. But just taking my time. I was hoping it would go green. That's what I had in my head. I was far back. I'm like, I'm gonna be patient, run the bottom, and just try to pick them off one at a time. But all in all, yeah, a good run, man. Glad to be back in Goat Locker and get a podium.
Glad to have you here and seeing you finish out here in P3, race number 2. Jonathan Cofield, I know that you've got somebody to say thanks to or shout out for tonight's event.
Oh, yeah, definitely. SAVE22 in the beginning there. Just appreciate them coming on and sponsoring our truck series. iRacing, MK Fire Design, Sim Motion, Harpoon Designs, Zach Graphics, Lucas 3D Designs, got him on the truck, Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Cofield Supply and Service, and all my teammates at Bandits Motorsports.
Well, thanks for your time, Jonathan. We'll catch up with you next week, buddy. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
That'll do it for our interviews with our top 3 finishers. Daniel, we got a lot to unpack here. What were your thoughts about the first showing of Auto Club in the SAVE22 Truck Series?
I think it definitely lived up to the hype that we built for it in the pre-race. Just so many different lines these drivers can run. We saw 3 wide, we saw 4 wide a couple of times. Trucks slipping, sliding around. Just an absolutely great show. Great to be back to a little bit more traditional style racing, getting away from the super speedway type of racing. And we're going to see more of the same as far as different lane choices next week at Phoenix as well.
I have to say, I don't think that there's any broadcast I've been a part of here at Auto Club that has put on a bad show by any means. So certainly lived up to the expectations in my eyes. And I'm very, very happy to have called this one. It was an outstanding race from start to finish. Calamity everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Green flag runs, yellows coming out at pivotal moments in the race. And we talked about it throughout the entirety of the race that that yellow flag, it can play just such a big, big role as it will in Phoenix next week. Don't forget to check out all the fantastic sponsors. Of course, the Goat Locker Racing web store we mentioned earlier at glrwebstore.com, ZAT Graphics, ZAT Graphics, and of course, Alexander PC and SAVE22.vet. For everybody behind the scenes at Goat Locker Racing, Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkus, all the other fantastic admins, and those race controllers that take up the most thankless role in an entire league anywhere you go. Big shout out to all of you for keeping things running smoothly out on the track. For everybody behind the scenes at V-Speed, of course, Adam Baker, happy birthday to you, sir. Bradley Cooper, Morgan Cook, and Eddie Smith. Of course, our producer tonight, Alex Gagnon, thank you for stepping in. My colleague in the booth, the other voice that you hear besides mine, Daniel Cunningham. My name is Logan Threlkeld. Have a great and safe weekend, and we'll see you next time.